The summer sun poured down on a quiet suburban street, the kind of place where families watered lawns, kids played basketball on cracked driveways, and neighbors waved across white picket fences. But not today. Today, an uncomfortable tension hung in the air. A young black boy named Malik, only 12 years old, walked down the sidewalk, clutching a backpack that seemed far too big for his small frame. His eyes carried the innocence of youth, but also the weight of something deeper. It's an awareness that the world didn't always see him for who he was. Malik's mother worked long hours as a nurse, and his father, though often away on business trips, was never truly gone. Malik didn't know all the details of what his dad did, just that he had a serious job protecting the country. The boy admired him, but often longed for more of his presence. As Malik approached a convenience store at the corner, he noticed the door propped open, the cool hum of the air conditioning spilling out onto the street. He reached into his pocket and counted 3 wrinkled dollar bills, enough for a soda and maybe a bag of chips, his favorite treat after finishing basketball practice with his friends. But just across the street, a police cruiser idled, the engine purring like a waiting predator. Inside sat Officer Rick Halstead, a man known around the neighborhood not for kindness, but for his quick temper and quicker judgments. His uniform was neatly pressed, but his face carried a permanent scowl, as though the world owed him respect. Rick narrowed his eyes the moment he saw Malik, another one of them. He thought bitterly, his mind already poisoned by prejudice. His knuckles tightened on the steering wheel as he muttered under his breath, loitering. Up to no good, I bet. Malik stepped into the store, oblivious to the eyes watching him. Inside, the fluorescent lights flickered faintly. The cashier, a middle-aged man named Raj, smiled warmly. Back again, champ. You're becoming my best customer. Malik grinned shyly. Just grabbing a drink, Mr. Raj. Wandered down the snack aisle, his small fingers grazing the brightly colored chip bags before carefully picking one. He then grabbed a cold bottle of soda, condensation running down its sides. He placed them on the counter and slid his crumpled bills across. But as he exited the store, sipping his drink, the sudden screech of tires made him freeze. Officer Halstead had pulled the cruiser right up to the curb. Hey, Rick barked, stepping out, sunglasses reflecting the boy's startled face. What do you think you're doing out here? Malik blinked in confusion. I just bought a soda and chips. Rick's lip curled into a sneer. Don't get smart with me. I saw you hanging around here. Look suspicious. You've got something to hide? The few bystanders on the sidewalk paused, sensing trouble. A mother tugged her child closer. An older man leaned against a lamppost, shaking his head, as if he had seen this kind of thing before. Malik's heart began to pound. His voice trembled. No, sir. I didn't do anything. You can ask Mr. Raj. I paid. But Rick wasn't listening. His mind was already locked in a dangerous loop of assumptions. He stepped closer, towering over the boy, his hand resting dangerously near his belt, where a can of pepper spray gleamed. You think I don't know your type? Wandering streets, casing stores, waiting to steal something? Don't lie to me. Tears welled in Malik's eyes. I swear. I didn't steal anything, the crowd murmured. Some looked outraged, others too afraid to intervene. Mr. Raj rushed out of the store, wiping his hands nervously on his apron. Officer, please. He's a good boy. He paid me fair and square. But Rick silenced him with a glare. Step back, sir, unless you want to be charged for interfering. Malik's body stiffened as Rick suddenly grabbed his arm, spinning him around. The soda slipped from his hand, splattering across the pavement. Gasps echoed. The boy cried out, Please let go. Rick snarled, shoving him against the hood of the cruiser. You better stop resisting. I'm not. Malik sobbed, his small hand shaking. And then, without warning, Rick pulled the pepper spray from his belt. A sharp hiss filled the air as he unleashed it directly into Malik's eyes. The boy screamed, collapsing to the ground, clutching his face as his cries pierced the stunned silence of the street. The crowd erupted. A woman shouted, He's just a child. Another man fumbled for his phone, recording. Mr. Raj rushed forward again, kneeling beside Malik despite Rick's warnings. You monster. Raj shouted. He did nothing wrong. Rick stood tall, chest heaving with self-righteous anger. "This is what happens when people don't respect the law," he barked. Though a flicker of uncertainty crossed his face as he noticed the growing crowd and the cell phones aimed at him. Malik's cries softened into whimpers as Raj tried to comfort him, dabbing his eyes with water from a bottle. The boy's face burned, his vision blurred, but his dignity, though battered, remained intact. He whispered through trembling lips, "I didn't do anything wrong. Why is he treating me like this?" The crowd's anger thickened, tension boiling over, but still no one dared to cross the officer. Rick straightened his uniform, attempting to regain composure, but deep down, a small unease gnawed at him. He had no idea who this boy truly was, and that secret, the one he had just pepper-sprayed into the dirt, was about to unravel his entire world. The street had grown eerily quiet after Malik's scream subsided into trembling sobs. The crowd hovered in uneasy silence, torn between outrage and fear. Mr. Raj continued to cradle the boy, pouring water over his stinging eyes. Every droplet slid down his face, washing away not only the spray but the innocence of a child who had just been branded guilty for existing. Officer Rick stood nearby, chest puffed out, trying to project control, but his jaw twitched nervously. He could feel the eyes of the bystanders drilling into him, some recording with their phones, others whispering behind cupped hands. Yet instead of backing down, he leaned harder into arrogance. "Disperse." Rick barked, his voice sharp. "This is official police business. Anyone interfering will be arrested." The woman holding her child gasped. "Arrested? He's just a little boy. You attacked him for no reason?" Rick whipped his head toward her, his sunglasses catching the sunlight like a weapon. "Lady, you don't know the whole story. This punk was resisting." "Resisting what?" "Buying chips." She shot back. Her voice trembled, but carried a mother's fury. Malik tried to lift his head, but his eyes still burned. He could barely see the faces in the crowd, just blurred outlines. "I didn't resist." He whispered hoarsely. Mr. Raj helped him sit up straighter, fury burning behind his usually gentle eyes. "I told you, officer. He paid for everything. He's an honest boy. This is cruelty, not justice." But Rick wasn't interested in truth. He was too far gone, consumed by the need to maintain dominance. He pulled out his radio, his thumb pressing the button. "Dispatch, this is Unit 47. I've got a suspect possible juvenile delinquent. Send backup." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Malik's tiny body stiffened. Suspect, delinquent. The words pierced him like knives. "Backup!" A man in a delivery uniform exclaimed. "You need backup for a 12-year-old kid." Rick ignored him. His radio crackled in response. "Copy that, Unit 47. Additional units en route." Malik's breathing quickened. He looked at Mr. Raj with panic. "They're going to take me." "I didn't do anything." Raj squeezed his shoulder firmly. "You stay calm, son. You did nothing wrong. The truth will speak." But Malik's heart pounded louder with every passing second. His young mind raced through every worst-case scenario, being handcuffed, dragged into a car, accused of crimes he never committed. His mother's face flashed in his mind. What would she think? How could he explain this? Rick crouched down suddenly, his voice dripping with menace. "You think those tears are going to save you, huh? You think people like you can play innocent forever?" He sneered, his words sharp enough for the entire crowd to hear. Malik flinched back, shaking his head desperately. "Please, I didn't do anything." Rick stood again, adjusting his belt. "We'll see about that once I get you booked." The crowd erupted in angry murmurs. Someone shouted, "This is abuse of power." Another voice cut through, "You're ruining your badge, officer." But instead of reconsidering, Rick doubled down. He pulled a pair of handcuffs from his side, the metallic click echoing in the hot air. Malik's chest caved in at the sight. "No, please," the boy cried, scooting back on the pavement. The mother in the crowd shielded her child's eyes. "This is sick. He's terrified." Rick's boots crunched on the asphalt as he advanced. "Stand up, boy. You're coming with me." But before he could seize Malik again, a voice boomed from the crowd. It was deep, resolute, and carried the weight of someone unafraid. Stop this madness right now. Everyone turned to see an elderly man stepping forward. His silver hair glistened under the sun, his back slightly bent, but his presence commanding. It was Mr. Thompson, a retired school principal who had lived in the neighborhood for decades. Officer Thompson said, his cane tapping firmly against the ground, "I've known this boy since he was born. He's no criminal, and I will not stand by while you destroy his dignity in front of us all," Rick sneered. "With all due respect, sir, this is none of your business." Thompson raised his chin. "Justice is everyone's business." The crowd cheered softly, emboldened. A delivery man called out, "He's right. Let the boy go." For the first time, Rick faltered. The wall of opposition was growing, and he could feel control slipping. He tightened his grip on the handcuffs, but his voice cracked slightly when he spoke. "Back off, all of you. I'm the law here." Malik, still shaking, clutched Raj's arm. "Why does he hate me so much? I didn't hurt anyone." Raj's throat tightened. He wanted to tell the boy the truth that prejudice blinded some people beyond reason. But instead he whispered, "Stay strong. Don't let him break you." Suddenly, the sound of sirens wailed in the distance. The crowd stiffened, heads turning toward the approaching red and blue lights. 2 more police cruisers rounded the corner, their presence swelling the tension to a breaking point. Rick smirked in satisfaction. "Backup's here. Now we'll do this properly." 2 younger officers stepped out of the cruisers, uncertainty on their faces as they assessed the scene: a trembling child, a furious shopkeeper, an angry crowd, and one officer standing defiant with pepper spray still glistening on his hands. "What's going on here, Halstead?" one officer asked cautiously. Rick gestured sharply at Malik. "Caught this kid loitering, resisting. Had to use force." But before anyone could respond, Mr. Thompson's voice cut through like thunder. "Don't you dare lie. We all saw it. That boy did nothing but buy a soda." Phones lifted higher into the air as people recorded. The truth was no longer buried. It was being documented in real time. One of the younger officers glanced nervously at the crowd. Halstead, maybe we should," but Rick silenced him with a glare. "Don't question me. Do your job." Malik's small body shook as he whispered, "Please, I just want to go home." The words were almost lost in the noise, but they pierced the hearts of the bystanders. A mother dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. The delivery man clenched his fists, muttering, "This is too much." Rick, however, remained blind to the tidal wave building against him. "Cuff him," he ordered the younger officers. But neither moved. They exchanged glances, hesitation plain in their eyes. The crowd roared louder now, voices overlapping. "This isn't justice. He's just a kid. Shame on you." Rick's face flushed red with anger. "You people think you can tell me how to do my job?" He grabbed Malik by the arm again, yanking him to his feet. Malik stumbled, whimpering, "Stop, please." His backpack slipped from his shoulder, hitting the ground with a thud. It was at that exact moment, unnoticed by Rick, that a small, worn photo fell out of the bag-lending face-up on the pavement. It was a family picture, Malik standing proudly between his mother and father. His father dressed sharply in a tailored suit with a government ID badge clipped to his jacket. The crowd didn't notice at first, but Mr. Thompson's keen eyes caught it. His jaw tightened as recognition flickered across his face. He bent slowly, lifting the photo, his fingers trembling as he studied it, and that's when the story began to change. The crowd froze as Mr. Thompson held the photo in his hand, his weathered fingers trembling. He stared at the man in the picture, the tall figure in a dark suit with an unmistakable government ID clipped to his pocket. His sharp eyes, stern expression, and dignified presence could belong only to someone of immense authority. "Officer Halstead." Thompson's voice quivered but carried weight. "Do you know who this boy's father is?" Rick rolled his eyes, tugging Malik's arm roughly. "I don't care if his dad's the mayor. He's still guilty of resisting." Thompson's lips curled into something between a smile and a warning. "No, he's far more than that." He turned the photo around, showing it to the crowd. Gasps erupted like a wave. "That's..." someone shouted. I've seen him on the news. Another exclaimed. Rick frowned, snatching the photo. His eyes scanned the image, and his smug expression faltered. His hand trembled slightly as recognition hit him like a brick. Malek's father wasn't just any man, he was Special Agent Marcus Carter, a high-ranking official in the FBI. The same FBI that oversaw federal investigations, corruption cases. And officers like him? What is this? Rick stammered, his throat suddenly dry. He looked down at Malek, who blinked through watery, burning eyes. The boy's quiet dignity cut deeper than any words could. Malek whispered hoarsely, "My dad protects people from men like you." The crowd erupted in cheers, voices rising in righteous fury. "That's the FBI guy." "Oh, you messed up big time." Rick's grip loosened unconsciously. For the first time, his authority slipped through his fingers like sand. His face paled as two more cruisers pulled up, this time, not responding to his call, but escorting someone of far higher rank. The car door opened, and out stepped Agent Marcus Carter himself. His towering frame, crisp black suit, and piercing gaze silenced the crowd instantly. He walked with purpose, each step echoing with authority that no badge on this block could match. "Dad," Malek cried, stumbling toward him. Agent Carter's eyes softened as he rushed forward, catching his son in his arms. He knelt, inspecting Malek's reddened eyes with gentle, trembling hands. "What happened to you, son? Who did this?" Malek clung to him, sobbing. "He sprayed me. Dad, I didn't do anything." Carter's jaw clenched, fury radiating off him in waves. He rose slowly, turning toward Rick, whose bravado had completely vanished. The agent's eyes were like fire-controlled, deadly, unrelenting. "Did you lay a hand on my boy?" Carter's voice was low, but it carried the weight of thunder. Rick stuttered, his arrogance crumbling. "Sir? I thought he was suspicious." He was resisting. Carter stepped closer, his presence suffocating. "He's 12. He bought a soda. And you sprayed him in the face like he was an animal?" The crowd roared in agreement, voices overlapping. "Yes, he did. We all saw it." Phones were held higher, capturing every moment. Rick's lips quivered. Sweat trickled down his temple. I was just doing my job." Carter's glare could have cut steel. "Your job is to protect the innocent. Instead, you terrorized a child, my child. You don't deserve that badge." Silence engulfed the street as Carter pulled out his phone, dialing swiftly. He spoke firmly into it. "This is Agent Carter. I need internal affairs here immediately. Officer Halstead is to be detained for assaulting a minor, falsifying reports, and abuse of power." Rick's knees buckled. His fellow officers exchanged horrified glances. The younger ones who had hesitated earlier now stepped forward, removing Rick's cuffs from his belt. "Wait, no. You can't do this?" Rick begged, his voice cracking. "I didn't know who he was. I didn't know." Carter's voice thundered back. "That's the point. You shouldn't need to know who someone's father is to treat them with respect." The crowd erupted in applause, their cheers echoing down the street. Some chanted, "Justice! Justice!" Rick was handcuffed, the very tool he had planned to use on Malek, now locking around his own wrists. His face twisted with regret, shame, and fear as he was led toward the cruiser. The same boy he had called a criminal now watched him from the safety of his father's arms. Malek whispered softly. Almost to himself, he thought, "I was nobody." Carter hugged him tighter. "You are somebody's son. You're everything to me. And don't ever let anyone make you feel less." Tears streamed down Malek's cheeks, but this time they weren't from pain. They were from relief. The crowd cheered louder, not just for justice served, but for the courage of a boy who had endured humiliation with dignity. Rick, shoved into the back of the cruiser, pounded the glass in desperation. "Please, it was a mistake. I didn't know." But no one listened. The sirens wailed again, carrying him away into the fate he had created for himself. The neighborhood slowly returned to life, though it would never forget what had happened on this street. Parents hugged their children tighter. Strangers who had stood in silence found courage to speak up. And Malek, though shaken, walked taller, knowing he had not broken under the weight of injustice. As Agent Carter led his son away, turned once more to the crowd. "Thank you for standing with my boy. This isn't just about him. It's about every child who deserves to be seen for who they are, not judged by the color of their skin." The crowd applauded, some with tears in their eyes. Mr. Thompson tapped his cane proudly. "Well said, Agent Carter. Well said." The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the pavement, a reminder that darkness can linger, but light always finds a way through. This story reminds us of a powerful truth. Respect should never depend on someone's status, wealth, or connections. No child, no person, should have to suffer humiliation to prove their worth. True justice sees beyond appearances, and real strength comes from treating others with dignity. Because when we judge by prejudice, we only expose our own weakness. But when we choose compassion, we build a world where everyone matters.